Listen very carefully and follow my instructions. Prepare your brain for the Cortex Nootropics podcast.
I mean, look, being an entrepreneur, I would not go through the rest of my life without taking nootropics. Aniracetam, paracetam, oxiracetam, uridine monophosphate, CDP-choline, modafinil, Noopept, forget it. You can always have a better brain.
The Cortex Nootropics podcast is about to begin.
An epic intro for an epic podcast. Welcome to number 16 on the Cortex Nootropics podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Michael Ballo. Look, here's the deal, guys. We're going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart that matters, man, way more than folks think, that I've come to learn as a big driving force within business, the business world. Basically, generally, it's verbal fluency with salespeople and the ability for salespeople to convey confidence. But as it relates to nootropics, it's nootropics allowing, fostering verbal fluency for that salesperson to be effective in conveying confidence to customers. I have seen this over and over again, and we consult people. I mean, frankly, I consult some executives and some salespeople who, we get to take very particular nootropic stacks, their verbal fluency and capacity to convey, like the sales pitch and to do rebuttals, which is rebuttals is just another word for kind of coming back with some way to combat or counteract the no that somebody gives you in a sales situation are all better because they take nootropics. And that, as a result, sales is quantifiable. You can look at whether or not somebody sold more, bottles of water or ice cream or software things to a company. These folks' sales numbers are improving. So we're going to get into that here in a bit, and just talk about my experience with it all, what I think on it, how salespeople can benefit from taking nootropics, which stacks a salesperson might want to take, to optimize verbal fluency in these situations, and more. But first, preliminary stuff out of the way. We are running a special on the Cortex stack, which, by the way, if you've not heard of the Cortex Nootropic stack, if you're sort of new to this podcast, let me just explain quickly what it is. The Cortex stack is a stack that I formulated after just about 6.5 years of taking nootropics, where I found that I could combine uridine monophosphate and CDP-choline in very particular quantities and add a titch of artichoke extract to it, and some Bacopa monnieri, and you could basically replicate modafinil and or modafinil-like effect, or a very strong racetam-like effect with this combination of uridine, CDP, and artichoke extract. We put it in a stack. It's called Cortex. Get it at livecortex.com. It's what it's being called. I mean, folks agree. This is being called the best pre-made stack that on the planet. The only pre-made stack that works. A very discernible stack. People call it the mental energy frontal lobe stack, because it'll just turn everything on, man. I mean, folks compare it to modafinil. That's what we tried to do. Get that at livecortex.com. Again, it's called Cortex. Generation 1 is out right now, and it is called Workhorse. It is a productivity stack. It is a functional working memory stack, but mostly it's a verbal fluency and motivation stack. I mean, it's essentially the everything stack, but verbal fluency and motivation are the standout effects people get from it. Get it at livecortex.com. Get $5 off by using the coupon code 5. That'll always apply. We wrote basically a nootropics God guide, an ebook, a book basically that you can download for Kindle, iPad, iPhone, Android, whatever tablet you got, computer. You can read it on a PDF. That explains not only everything there is to know about nootropics, where to get nootropics, what gear to use, but questions people have that are like burning questions. Why do I need to take choline with a racetam? Why do some people not have to take choline with a racetam? Which choline sources should I use? Which doses should I use? On and on and on. And basically an entire functional sector, which is like what we name the sections or chapters. We name them as sectors. Of the most powerful nootropic stacks on the planet. That's like my stacks that I've learned that apply to most folks, that are exceptionally strong and are easily, easy to procure and easily acquirable. That turn on brain performance something like you wouldn't believe. I mean, these are basically the limitless stacks. I've got endless combinations of limitless stacks that you can just take to basically try to replicate the modafinil experience and replicate the Eddie Mora experience. Literally on the Limitless movie, I'm not hyping it up. This is me emphatically telling you the truth. It's called Smarter, Better, Faster. Get it at livecortex.com. Use the coupon code 5 to get $5 off. Download it instantly and start reading it. I mean, it's incredible, guys. It's one of the most powerful, utility-based, useful pieces of, useful nootropic products there are on the market. There's no question about it. Folks are raving about it. The reviews are out, and it is hot. Okay. So, oh yeah, by the way, I wanted a quick mention to folks, if you want me to look at your stack or critique your stack or give you some sort of consulting on your stack, I do it, $100 to $500 to $5,000 consult packages. You can email me and we can Skype for $100 and I can critique your stack and tell you, how to make it a lot better. Get with me at ryan@livecortex.com or go to livecortex.com to check out about, that stuff and find out about that stuff. Okay. So look, bottom line is this: getting into sales and nootropics. Okay, salespeople need verbal fluency, right? I just pitched Cortex and the Smarter, Better, Faster book, right? If my verbal fluency wasn't prime and I didn't sound like I know what I'm talking about relating to those products and their efficacy, forget it. You wouldn't even be interested, right? But since I do, right, I'm sure there's a lot of you like, man, that Cortex X sounds interesting, right? Maybe we get that Smarter, Better, Faster book. They are exceptionally valuable products, but I mean, look, I know how to convey the value of those products. And that's what salespeople's jobs are. And that's what they do best. That's what they're good at. But the only way that they can do that, the only way that a salesperson can do that in any situation is to have verbal fluency. We talked about recently on podcast number 15 where, the basically the infiltration of nootropics into the corporate sector. I get to see this being a nootropics product company and selling nootropics and consulting people on nootropics. I get emails every day from folks in corporate, and in the Silicon Valley entrepreneurship sector where guys are like, yeah, we're taking modafinil. Everyone here's taking modafinil. We're taking the Cortex stack. We're taking racetams. People hit me up and ask me for advice. What should we do here? What should we do there? I got somebody above me taking, this, modafinil or something, and I can't procure it because I need a prescription. What do I do? How do I get the same brain performance as this person? Because he's like outdoing me in promotions. So this stuff is happening. Right, and within these corporate, environments are salespeople, and within smaller companies there are salespeople. Within every company, lots of companies, there are sales guys, and these sales guys are learning about nootropics. I'm telling you, I'm in the cusp of it. I'm in the mix of it. I'm seeing that this is happening. Right, people are hitting me up. I'm talking to people about it every day. Nootropics are infiltrating the corporate sector and the sales sector and the business sector and the entrepreneurship sector. I mean, there's never been a boom like it before for nootropics ever. This is the time is now. And salespeople's capacity to procure nootropics, to learn which nootropics work best for them, to learn which nootropics turn on verbal fluency, and to take those nootropics in the right quantities, in the right combinations, for the right situations, for them to be able to go and facilitate verbal fluency, to convey confidence, to sell product or sell service to customers, to meet quotas and make money and achieve goals as salespeople, forget it. It's phenomenal. The whole thing is happening, right? And a person needs to know exactly what stacks to take and what things to target, how to achieve brain performance to get better sales. Because let me tell you something. The major takeaway is if you're a salesperson and you're selling and you're communicating with folks and you need to convey confidence, the number one thing you need, you need knowledge about the product, knowledge about the service. You need a good, valuable product that offers value for what they're paying for it. But you need to know how to pitch it. You need to know how to convey it. And you need verbal fluency, which conveys confidence. Here are some stacks for salespeople. I'm going to try to make this as easy as possible to apply. And by the way, these are verbal fluency stacks, so you don't have to be a salesperson to use these. They're everywhere. You could be anybody. You could be anyone and benefit from these stacks. That'll turn on verbal fluency, and particularly for salespeople, to facilitate confidence and to help them to sell more. First, we're going to start with some uridine-centric stacks, okay? Uridine monophosphate in 75 to 150 milligram quantities by itself is one good strategy. Okay, uridine monophosphate, 75 to 150 milligram quantities. Take it by itself, throw it down with some water. It's water soluble. 20, 30 minutes later, you will be verbally fluent. Okay, number 2, triacetyluridine. That is a derivative. It's sort of an analog of uridine monophosphate. That is slightly more potent. It requires less doses, but affects the brain in a very, very similar way, which turns on working memory, focus, motivation, but most importantly, as it relates to this, verbal fluency. 25 to 50 milligrams of triacetyluridine. Both these compounds are natural. They're both on the generally recognized as safe list. You can get them in America and you get them in most developed countries. They're legal, you can have them in most countries. Even in countries where some nootropics like racetams are a bit sketchy. They're hard to procure because there's laws around them that make it hard. Like the UK, you can get uridine monophosphate. That's 100% legal in the UK. And triacetylurine. Actually, I don't know about triacetylurine in the UK, but it's legal in the United States of America. Then the third stack would be combining uridine monophosphate with CDP choline and Alcar. Okay, CDP choline is a cholinergic nootropic compound that works on dopamine receptors and acetylcholine receptors. It also increases the release of epinephrine and norepinephrine. These are alertness-based neurotransmitters. And what you do in this particular case is you take 150 milligrams, here's the stack, 150 milligrams uridine monophosphate, 70 milligrams of CDP choline, 300 milligrams of Alcar, 300 milligrams of acetyl L-carnitine. That right there is a very, very powerful combination for everything, mental energy, focus, motivation, but 100% verbal fluency. The next thing, which is a standalone racetam that you can take for exceptional verbal fluency, it's also going to give you a lot of mental energy, would be phenylpiracetam in 75 milligram quantities. Phenylpiracetam, 75 milligram quantities. That's a racetam nootropic that's cholinergic, probably works on dopamine signaling in some unknown way. A lot of the mechanisms are still a little, they're basically undisclosed, but they're not discovered. There's mechanisms of some of these racetams that folks really don't know about. 75 milligrams phenylpiracetam will absolutely turn on verbal fluency. Next stack, 10 milligrams Noopept, 100 milligrams CDP choline, 20 milligrams triacetylurine. Okay, 10 milligrams Noopept, 100 milligrams CDP choline, 20 milligrams triacetylurine. This is basically a cholinergic, verbal fluency, focus, frontal lobe, mental energy, performance stack. This will just get brain fluidity. The baseline theme across all these stacks is fluidity, right? We're talking about working on cell membranes, a specific outer structure of cells called phosphatidylcholine. And once you increase phosphatidylcholine, you're doing this with these uridine and CDP choline-centric stacks. That increases membrane fluid, a thing called membrane fluidity. It basically gets signals to flow in your brain a lot better, right? I mean, this is the stuff that if it functions better, you get mental fluidity. And mental fluidity is really the underlying factor and speed of processing to verbal fluency. Last stack, last suggestion would be 1,000 milligrams of oxiracetam. Okay, oxiracetam is a racetam nootropic that works on AMPA receptors and acetylcholine receptors. Probably has some other mechanisms to it too, but mostly forces the brain to release extra acetylcholine in memory-centric areas of the brain, specifically the hippocampus. And then 300 milligrams of choline bitartrate. Choline bitartrate is basically a less bioavailable, non-blood-brain barrier crossing, but still usable source of choline, the B vitamin, which will convert to a neurochemical you're going to need, for most folks anyway, a lot of folks, to synergize as a cofactor with the oxiracetam nootropic to get the best experience. This is oxiracetam and a simple oxiracetam choline bitartrate stack. Folks would be surprised. They're trying all these 10 nootropic stack. This is a pretty profoundly powerful stack for turning on verbal fluency. Okay, use those stacks. Apply them in the in the sales environment. And listen, if you're a salesperson, you're listening to this, and you want consults on stacks, get with me, Ryan at livecortex.com. I know you can afford it. Time is money. Money is performance, right? If you can spend money on getting the advice to crank in and dial in your brain performance, it's worth it. Ryan at livecortex.com. Send me an email. Go to livecortex.com. You'll see in the menu bar a place for consulting, and we'll dial in the best stack for you. And I guarantee you, I can improve your brain performance. I guarantee you, I can improve your verbal fluency, and I guarantee you, as a result, will quantifiably positively impact your sales numbers. Okay, but I'll finish on this, guys. Not only are nootropics infiltrating the corporate sector, the job sector, period, and every sector, but I mean, more and more and more, I'm seeing these trends as somebody that's deep in the game and getting emails every day and consulting folks and being in the nootropics product sphere. More and more salespeople are taking nootropics to be better and more verbally fluent. And as a result, these guys are quantifiably getting more sales. Check us out on YouTube at the Cortex Nootropics and Spark channel. Subscribe to our content on livecortex.com. On the bottom of every page, you can see an option to subscribe to our content, so you can get emails on when we put new posts out and put new videos out. Subscribe to this podcast if you're listening to on iTunes, and also please could you guys write a review if you're listening to this on iTunes, or if you're listening on YouTube? Could you go to the iTunes Cortex Nootropics and Biohacking podcast and write a review, because we need some more reviews on this thing to get this podcast out there. We're spending a whole lot of time. I got a couple folks hit me up recently. We're like, hey man, I'm driving on my commute and it's really hard to listen to our YouTube videos because of cellular reception for data. Listening to having internet on and listening to your YouTube videos. So could you do more podcasts? Absolutely. We're going to crank them out. We're going to do as many as possible. I want to try to crank out 5 a week. Okay, so please review this on iTunes, and listen, if you've not tried the Cortex stack, get it for $5 off at livecortex.com. Use the coupon code 5. Same applies for the Smarter, Better, Faster Nootropics Stack God Guide. Also, launching a guide on racetams, all the 8 major racetams: oxiracetam, primeracetam, phenylpiracetam, nephiracetam, coliracetam, piracetam, aniracetam, all the powerful racetams, their accompanying surgical stacks and protocols. That's coming up, launching on the 12th of August 2017. Get it, my friends. Get it when it comes out. It's going to be called the Racetam God Guide. And hey, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time.